It's the Patrick Netherton Show right on 1130 The Tiger. We're pleased to welcome in from the NFL Network out in California. You've seen her on all of the national shows in the last 2 weeks. She's the most famous person in my Rolodex, let's be honest. It's Jane Slater.
How are you?
I'm
Thank
good.
you for having me on your show. This is the one I'm most proud of.
Sure.
You were with me when I was doing Southland Football Conference, and no one believed in me as a radio reporter.
Yeah. Well, look, now you're blown up, and I have to call your people now, and that's fine. You know, it is what it is. Sometimes you got to call somebody's people. All right. So give me obviously you've got the hashtag Zeke Watch going. I mean, we know this is the number one story. Where do we stand right now? Is Zeke any closer from coming back from his Mexican vacation?
Well, let me walk away here because the people in L.A. are some of the rudest, most obnoxious people I've ever met.
Oh.
I want me to tone it down. I was too loud for her, so let me walk away.
Yeah, well,
people in the South would have asked me to do that politely.
Tell her just tell her bless her heart, because that's all you need to say.
That's what I need to do. I'm going to drop a bless her heart on there in about 5 seconds.
Bless your heart.
So here's what I'll say they are at on the discussions right now. When you see these reports out there that the discussions are close, that would not be true. In fact, the way it was characterized to me this morning was when I reached out, I said, is this thing close? The response was nope. And I said, well, what's the holdup? Are we talking money or years or guarantee? And the response back to me was everything.
Oh.
That's not exactly a good indicator of where this negotiation is.
No, it is bad. And, here's the problem, Jane. They're staring right in the face of having to pay Cooper and Dak and Zeke, and I keep getting the feeling that Zeke's the odd man out, if only because of some of the erratic off-the-field behavior.
Well, there's a couple of things at play here. And, it was Stephen Jones who said it today. He said, we're not going to get in the business of record setting. And that falls in line with what I reported yesterday. They believe that the Todd Gurley deal was a bad deal. They think it was poorly structured. They don't like the way it was reported in terms of what the large guarantee was, the money per year. And so it's my understanding that his management team is sort of jumping off those Gurley numbers. The Cowboys like, wait a minute, we're not going to get in the business of talking these Gurley numbers. We don't think that deal was a good deal. And so now we're sort of at this impasse with Zeke, but they also know that he's under contract. They picked up the 5th-year option on him. They can franchise tag him not once but twice. And so in theory, they're like, look, if you want to get paid, you want to pay in the league, you're going to get this deal done now, or you're going to show up or not show up. And if you don't show up, you're not getting your game checked. And then the question is, well, how good has Zeke been with his money? Can he afford to hold out and not have those game checks? And when you think about the fact he's already cost himself 6 game checks because of the suspension, everyone keeps talking about Zeke's leverage. I think the Cowboys have a lot of leverage here, too.
Well, we know he's saving money on shirts because he doesn't buy full-size shirts. So at least he's saving that money. I'm talking to Jane Slater from the NFL Network. All right, so do you then foresee Zeke at any point coming to camp, or do you think this is a thing that goes through camp and maybe even into the preseason, potentially into the regular season?
It's really hard to say at this point, and I say that because in talking to my team sources, they truly believed that he was going to be at camp. In fact, it's my understanding he told them he's going to be at camp, and that's why Jerry and them are so frustrated right now is, A, they were under the impression that they weren't going to be dealing with the holdout, and B, you've got Amari and Dak that are there. They've got deals coming down the pipe. They're here at camp, but you've got Zeke who, during his suspension, went to Cabo, and the optics weren't great. Now, in Zeke's defense, he came back in his best shape and, had a big season, but I think they would prefer if Rocky Arsenault, who has a place at Diamante Resort 30 minutes outside of Cabo, had taken him to Wyoming instead of Cabo. It's just that the optics continue to be an issue with Zeke. Has anything he's done since the allegations with the woman at Ohio State risen to criminal level? No. But it's this frustration that, hey, we're trying to get a deal done here. What are you doing? As I was told by one person in the front office, not a good look.
No, it's a terrible look, and especially when you have, comparatively speaking, Jane, Boy Scouts, the other two guys that are getting paid. I mean, Cooper's a good model citizen. Dak obviously is a good model citizen. I mean, when you compare them to Zeke, it makes wanting to pay him that much tougher a pill to swallow.
Well, and that coupled with what analytics guys will tell you about that position in general. Do you want to pay all this money to a running back, and especially the way that, we see Zeke handling his body in the offseason? I mean, if you want to look to the reason why the reason why Zeke's camp is holding out the way they are, just look at the way the Cowboys rode DeMarco Murray into the ground, and it did give him that extension. So I see both sides of the argument. I'm just a little shocked, as are I think the people inside the building, that this thing is getting to this point. I don't believe that he's going to be there necessarily anytime soon right now, but I would be shocked if he is not there to start the season.
Do you think he does? Does he pull a Le'Veon Bell?
Do I think what?
Do you think he pulls a Le'Veon Bell?
I don't. I don't think that he can afford to do it. That's my gut instinct. I don't know that for a fact. I just don't think that he can afford to do it.
Talking to Jane Slater from the NFL Network. All right, let's talk about happier things. What positive things are coming out of the Cowboys camp?
I think the Cowboys are really excited about the progress that Dak Prescott has made this offseason, working with John Kitna, but also just his accuracy and his timing with his receivers. Michael Gallup was the one that told me they spent a lot of time together this offseason because their timing was always a little bit off. They've been working on that. And it was even Michael Irvin when he was out there doing the show with us yesterday, and I said, "What are you seeing, Irv?" And he said, "I'm seeing a lot more air under the ball. The timing looks like it's better. Amari Cooper's route running is just so crisp. He's looking good. Jason Witten, I'm telling you right now, I'm not saying this to blow smoke up anybody's skirt. He looks like he's taken 2 or 3 years off of his body. He looks more youthful. The energy is there. The excitement is there. He told me over the weekend this is a show-me week. He believes that he needs to prove himself, that he deserves a spot on this roster. And by being back, we're seeing it pay dividends with Blake Jarwin, who I thought looked outstanding in the regular season finale with his 3 touchdowns. It's pushing those guys along. And then Randall Cobb, I don't think we're talking enough about him. I think he's going to be a huge asset to this offense. Just he's such a pro's pro, but having that time with Aaron Rodgers and just seeing the way Dak's getting the ball to him, it's been fun to watch. And then on defense, not only do you have Robert Quinn, but you have DeMarcus Lawrence, who, while he's starting on the PUP list, we all knew that he had the shoulder surgery in the offseason. We're expecting him to be ready to go for the start of the season. Xavier Woods at free safety telling me over the weekend that he felt disrespected, that we were even talking about the fact that the Cowboys needed to go get Earl Thomas, and he had a pick 6 yesterday. He's just got a little chippiness to him. He just had a newborn daughter, so maybe he now feels like a family guy. He's got to provide. But I think they've got a lot of these pieces that they didn't have last year. I mean, last year when we went to camp, they had a running back, not a running back, but a wide receiver and a tight end by committee. And then this year, it's like, wow, look, all of a sudden there's some depth in a lot of these positions, and I think that's a good thing for the team.
By the way, we like, as Xavier Woods, Louisiana Tech product, we obviously in Shreveport like hearing good things about him. Dak is obviously a Houghton product and right outside of Shreveport, so we're always interested in that. Do you have a feeling on when, if his deal gets done, and kind of what range we're looking at in terms of money?
Well, I think it's going to be more than Carson Wentz. I think he's got a valid argument there. The fact that, he is the only Cowboys quarterback in franchise history to start every game the last consecutive seasons. I think it's his durability that's helping him, and the fact that he's done more. I mean, think about it. He's taken him to the postseason twice. So I think that's working in his favor, and I was told that everyone here is optimistic that something gets done here at training camp. Amari Cooper might be a little bit more of a wild card. I think Michael Thomas's deal obviously gives them a reference point, and I think we're going to start hearing a little bit more about this deal and the weeks moving forward. But Amari Cooper is he and his team are playing things pretty close to the best. I don't think any of us really have a good sense of where that contract is other than what we've been told by Stephen Jones over the weekend. Look, they feel good about some of the offers they have on the table, but it takes 2 to get a deal done.
Also kind of interesting that the Cowboys went back to Alfred Morris. and you've kind of chronicled how it was kind of an odd timing situation for him. He didn't really get to camp with anything with him. Just kind of walk us through the wild span that Alfred Morris has dealt with the last couple of days.
Well, as he described it to me the other day, he was working out. He got a call from the Saints. They said, "Can you be here on a 12:20 flight for a workout?" He said, "Sure." All he had with him was his workout clothes. His wife met him on the side of the highway with his cleats. He boards the plane, and while it's being reported that he's working out with the Saints, the Cowboys called because Alfred Morris had been on their radar this offseason. And he said he prayed on it. And, his family lived in Dallas still when he went and played for San Francisco. And he knows the system. He's remained friends with the staff and with the players. And he just said that the Lord directed him there, even though even in his mind he thought, maybe I'm going to have some more opportunities somewhere else. The Cowboys, he said, have made him no guarantees, but he felt like that's where he needed to be. This is a guy that was averaging 4.3 yards per carry in the 5 starts during the 6-game suspension for Ezekiel Elliott. They feel good about him. In fact, my understanding that Jerry has been selling this to the team is we've got an elite back, and now not everyone's buying in on that, but it sounds to me like Jerry's helping manage some expectations around there. Like, hey, if Zeke's not here, let's start buying into this Alfred Morris project. And then to compliment him, they feel really good about their rookie, Tony Pollard, who they feel like was underutilized at Memphis because he split time to that Henderson kid. He's really good with his catching ability, drawing comparisons to, Alfred Morris. They like him as a route runner, but they still don't think he's a true number 2 yet. And then this Mike Weber guy, I think he's going to need a little bit more time. He's the kid that they got from Ohio State in the 7th round. But, the good news is this year, at least you have some receiving threats that weren't there this time last year. Will they be able to potentially insulate the loss of Zeke for a little bit? Yes, but, look, for me to sell to anyone at home that the Cowboys can get this thing done without Zeke, that's a tough sell. Their best chance at going to Miami is to have Ezekiel Elliott on this roster. It's just, can both of these sides find a win-win situation that makes sense?
Hey, just listen to Jerry. You don't need a rushing leader to go to the Super Bowl. Everyone knows that. Boy,
well, he's never won one without him, though. That's the funny part.
Yeah, Jerry was dropping some shade on Zeke. That was kind of remarkable to watch.
Jerry does everything with purpose and intent.
Yeah.
And that, to me, was a warning flare. I think the frustration is that Jerry has literally fallen on the sword and defended this running back time and time again. And I think he's frustrated. I'll cushion it. I think he's very frustrated with where they're at right now in this situation as it pertains to Zeke not being at camp. I think he feels like he's got all the pieces to make a real run for it. And at 77, he's been talking about that window being closed since, I believe, his 73rd birthday. So this thing, he feels like they're in a position to do this. He wants Zeke on board because he certainly has been there for Zeke.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. All right, final thing, Jane, and because I know you're busy, I'm sure you have multiple national appearances that you have to make since you've been everywhere, world famous. Your boy Bryson got to show up and hang out with the Cowboys. Tell me about that and how cool that was.
Always such a pleasure to see my little guy. If people aren't familiar, we did a feature piece on the NFL Network. Bryson Thompson, an 8-year-old, now 9-year-old, he just celebrated a birthday. He has epilepsy, and he will go to these training camps and get signatures for the players and then sell them online so that he can purchase helmets for other kids. And they raised $40,000 as a result of our piece and got 16 helmets for kids with epilepsy last year. And they really were more than a feature piece for me. They have become sort of my adopted kids. His brother Brock, his sister Peyton, as well as his little brother Lennon. They're just such a great family, and they showed up to camp this year. We met at camp last year, so that was really exciting. I had just been to New Orleans with them back in, I believe it was May. We did a fundraiser down there, and just literally a special family, special kids, and I just feel really grateful for that relationship.
And the Saints connection because his grandfather is Stan Brock, the former
yes.
Saints offensive lineman, which is awesome. And
who also played for the Cowboys and was a teammate of Jason Garrett.
There you go. It all comes full circle. It's Hakuna Matata, the circle of life.
It does.
I don't think Hakuna Matata means circle of life, but I never watched The Lion King. So, Jane, awesome stuff from out there. Keep it up. If you want to follow along at Slater NFL, keep up with what she's doing because she's bringing you all the best Cowboys news. Keep it up, and I look forward to you being on Nightline or 2020 or something tonight.
Well, I appreciate you wanting me on your show, and I appreciate your support all those years ago. So anytime you need me.
All right. Jane Slater from the NFL Network. Good stuff.